During the Napoleonic Wars, Britain held its enemies, including France, at bay with the Royal Navy. And those sailors, they actually had to fight on board ship. And one of the guns that they did it with was the pattern 1801 Sea Service pistol.
It's one of only a rare few guns that you can say this about, which is that functionally, that design did not change for more than a century. The 1801 Sea Service pistol is functionally identical to the first official pattern Sea Service pistol that British Ordnance adopted in 1716.
A Sea Service pistol is called a Sea Service pistol because it's used by the Navy. And you say, well, why would you need a small arm when ships are banging away at one another? Well, that isn't the way it always worked. A lot of times they would come to close quarters so that one could capture the other one's ship, which was an important thing back then because you have to realize that you didn't just capture the ship for a king and country or queen and country. You captured the ship because everybody got prize money. Not a bad deal. So it was worthwhile not to try to sink a ship, but to try to capture them. Consequently, small arms were very, very important.
Nearly 20 inches overall length, had a 56 caliber bore to it, smooth bore. That's a huge diameter for a handgun. And it was a flintlock. It basically appeared to be kind of a scaled down Brown Bess action, you know, mounted in a curved piece of wood. The 1801 was, you know, the gun of the Napoleonic Wars between Nelson and Napoleon. It is the quintessential, you know, large flintlock pistol that was used at sea and obviously on land as well for about 40 or 50 years.
One thing that sailors don't have, sometimes they don't have pants, but they certainly don't have holsters. So how is a sailor going to carry their Sea Service pistol? And sometimes they'd have cross belts, and sometimes they'd have, you know, things around their waist. But with the Sea Service pistols, and this is how you can tell it's not a Land Service pistol, because those guys have holsters. No, sailors have this hook that actually they can use to stick inside their pants or through some kind of cross belt. And so when you see something like that, you know, on the left side of a flintlock pistol, you got to realize it was intended for naval use.
Now, a lot of people look at it, it's got a big heavy brass butt on it, and they say, well, once they were done shooting them, then they could use them as a club. Probably not a good idea. Number one, most of the sailors are also armed with cutlass. What would you rather have, a cutlass or to try to bang somebody with a 12-inch long pistol? No, it wouldn't work. Plus, no matter how robust they are, you stand a good chance of damaging the pistol. They'll break. You could hit something. You could hit a mast. You could hit something like that. They could break. So consequently, they were very, very, very rarely used as clubs. They're, again, not very accurate, but they didn't have to be. You're only shooting at very, very close distances.
The only thing that really changes even into the first half of the 19th century with the Sea Service guns in British military service are the barrels are shortened up a little bit. The 1801 has a 12-inch barrel, and they realize you don't really need a 12-inch barrel on these guns, and they end up cutting them back to 9 inches. Well, if that was the only thing they're changing, it didn't make sense to keep all of these existing pattern 1801s at 12 inches. So a lot of these guns end up being cut down to the later 1816 pattern. The other thing that's neat about these guns is very often you'll see them marked, and they would have been marked to, you know, a gun deck of a ship. They'll be marked with an inventory number. And even in some cases, they'll be engraved on the top of the barrel with the name of the ship that they belong to. And so that just adds another tangible element to the history of these guns.